Welcome to Art Talk Tuesday. We are on piece number 7 of the asana series. So we're in number 7 of 15. So we're basically halfway through for those of you that have been paying attention. The piece we have today is actually one of the first pieces in the series that I began. And remember, I said I've been doing each model has 3 poses. And so this was the first model and the first set of pieces that I began for this series. So the model actually for the yogini, I should say, for this series of poses, her name is Zen. And you can find her on Black to Yoga. Zen is very athletic, very strong, very supple, kind of like a branch or something, just very rooted in the earth. And she does a lot of really athletic poses. So this is actually one of her more milder poses. As we go into see the other two in the next coming weeks, we'll see that they're much more dramatic, and her strength is actually shown off in those poses. And she's very athletic, very strong, but also very supple. So you'll begin to see that as we look at these poses. All 3 of these are in a vertical format, which is unusual. So most of the others I staggered. It would be like 2 that are vertical, 2 that are horizontal, and one that's vertical. But in this one, all of the pieces are vertical, so they'll all be 20 inches high by 16 inches wide. There is watercolor, a little color pencil, and we'll just jump right in and start talking about this. So one of the first of the 3, we already talked about Zen, and the actual name of this pose is Warrior 2. In the Sanskrit, that translates into Virabadrasana, and it is basically a standing pose, as you can see. It's also a leg strengthening pose and a shoulder opening pose. As you can see here, you're heavily on the legs, relying on those legs to stay and keep you rooted down. And to some extent, you're also opening the hips, because you see she's got this back leg extended quite far back. And the further back you go, obviously, you lower yourself down, and it begins to open up the hips as well. And you get that slight turn in the body. So that gives some turning to the spine, and you always want to pull up, push upwards, thrusting upwards. As you can see, she's done it very well. And I've kind of changed the perspective on this a little bit. I kind of dropped this leg back a little bit more, made it look a little bit smaller, and emphasized this leg a little bit more, just to give a sense of drama to the pose here. Give it a real sense of drama, so you get that sense of her extending. You get that extension out from the legs, and you see we've got this kind of V shape here, which creates a movement of the eye into that V up this way, and then you get that strong pulling up, which is what you want. You see she's got a nice long strong pulling up of the spine here, straight spine. It's got a slight twist here, and then the shoulders open up, so you get this boom expansion out of the body, and that's what you want in that pose, that strong upward movement expansion. It's a standing pose. She's rooted, got her feet solidly planted, rooted in the ground, and then upward, and this upward expansion out. See the eyes, drishti is focused out. Usually they say you should have your eyes looking out towards the tip of your finger there. She's doing it excellently. Also, if you'll notice here, I took a little liberty with making the neck and the head a little bit longer, because I wanted to emphasize this whole idea of this long upward movement. So I've got a little bit of extra shortening here, a little bit lifting here, and then a little bit more lifting here in the neck and head. Obviously, no one's neck and head would be this long, but I've made it that way to kind of emphasize what's going on with this lengthening motion. So we get this up and out, this expansion of the whole figure, and that's what we're doing here. Played around with the palette. You see I've got some light blues, some greens, kind of some grays and purple. And really most of the gray is made between the green and the blue, with a little bit of purple thrown in there. Once again, as always, I wanted to get that sense of her being grounded, of her being down and grounded into the earth, grounded into the purpose. Because remember, we have chakras in the bottom of my feet. So you don't only also have your first chakra down here, your root chakra, which is pushing energy down into the earth to keep you grounded, but you also have chakras in the bases of the feet, in the bottoms of the feet. So that also roots you down into the earth. And so I wanted to make a sense of that being well rooted, because in order to do this pose and really come up strong, you have to have a solid foundation. Everything works from the base, right? And so I wanted to give that illusion of the space going back, and this being a real actual open space that she's standing in. So this time I did it backwards, Well, actually, I did it forwards because you see you got the darker tones up here and then it fades back to the lighter tones. You get that sense of extending back, and also just drop that light shadow in here. I didn't want to go too much in detail of the upper part of the figure, so it just kind of fades out, but you get that strong shadow on the feet in both instances, and then the rest of the figure kind of just fades out. You get hints of the arms here, maybe a little bit of the head, so just kind of playing with the light source there, but the main emphasis has to be on this pushing back and this figure rooting up. See, I've done some modeling here in the legs, modeling here in the torso. I wanted to depict Zen's strength because she really is very strong. She looks strong, she looks athletic, and I wanted to give a sense of that, more so than any of the other female models, yoginis that I was working with. And not that they aren't strong, she just looks more the part. She looks very athletic, like she could be a basketball player, like she could be doing gymnastics, anything like that. So they have a certain look, and I want to emphasize her strength and that extension because it comes out, it just exudes from her when you're watching her go through her routines, or even when she's teaching, you can feel that strength. It's palpable. And so emphasizing that, you see I've got the eyes forcing, looking out here toward the tip of the hand, neck extended, and this is more traditional unilome. Some of you who know anything about unilomes will recognize this one. This is one of the more traditional unilome patterns here. And remember, unilome is a Buddhist symbol depicting or symbolizing the route to enlightenment. And so we have the inside of the circle here symbolizes reaching enlightenment, but here is sometimes the path we take. We think it's straight, but it really isn't. There's lots of twists and turns and things that come up unexpected in life as we navigate to where we're supposed to be. But you see, eventually we will and we do get there. And I think that's the main thing we need to think about in terms of everything that's going on right now, even in terms of the world, our own lives, kind of things seem topsy-turvy. Not sure where we're going. We're trying to get here. It seems like things are pushing us every other direction, but eventually we do get there. It was never supposed to be straight. We just think it's supposed to be straight because we live in a more linear environment, linear world. But the ancients didn't think that way. Remember, they thought of time as a circle, just like the seasons. So you always come back eventually to where you started from, which also gives to the whole idea of the eschatological event in the Bible when we talk about Revelation, because we have Genesis, right? And then you go around the circle, and eventually things must be recreated. You must get back to where you started. So that cyclical nature of life. And actually, I think that's a more realistic view than the very linear, bifurcated perspectives that we have in our modern age. Price of this piece is $1,000, as is every piece in the series. Once again, 20 inches tall by 16 inches wide. It's mounted on wood board, watercolor paper mounted on wood board. It's frame hung, ready to go. So if you want it, just reach out to me, or you can go directly to my website, damonpowell.com, and pick it up. I also have prints available. These images starting at, I think, around $35 and going up. So thank you for tuning in. Be well. Peace out.